Hi, everybody. Welcome to Yes Have Some Podcast. My name is Craig Goldberg. Thank you so much for being here. Fall is almost upon us, so we'll call this the fall kickoff.
The fall cast.
It's a fall cast. Hope everybody's having a great end of your summer. I noticed that, Jacob, I don't know how it is where you are, but Dragon Con was the last week of extreme heat Atlanta had. This week has been 10 degrees cooler across the board. Oh, really? Which has been nice. How about
that
you?
It's the same here.
Same.
But it's coming, I think.
It's coming, and I'm in that mood to watch some spooky movies. Mm-hmm. And I'm in the mood to get ready for Halloween Horror Nights. Mm-hmm. And I'm in the mood to podcast. So that's why we're here. Joining me, as always, are my wonderful, beautiful co-hosts. Wow. What a flash from the past. I used to say that in the old days.
Yeah, before you found other adjectives.
I'm still looking. I should get a book of good adjectives.
Wonderful, beautiful. How about like brilliant, intelligent, gifted?
Craig, are you thinking about like a thesaurus or a dictionary, or you're just like,
is there a book of words?
Oh, they should make a book.
Dude, I'm all in on synonyms. There's nothing better than finding an alternative word for the word you were looking for. But that's for another day. Jacob Walsh, how are you, man?
I'm okay. I was like,
medium?
Should I say good? I'm not good. I'm annoyed, but I'm okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is why.
For the sake of this, I'm good.
For the sake of the podcast. Well, people care about you, so they want to know that you're okay. Well, I'm glad that for the sake of the podcast, you're good. Wait, hey, what's that shirt? Is that a new shirt?
Yeah, it's a Matango.
Gotcha.
It's an old movie from the 50s with a lot of people from Godzilla films.
Okay.
I actually think Jay Key would yell at me, but I'm pretty sure it's directed by the guy who directed the first Godzilla film. Oh boy. And it also it's like a movie about these people who they shipwreck on an island and there's no food, but there's all these mushrooms everywhere. And they're like, hey, don't eat those mushrooms because they're mushrooms and we shouldn't eat those.
Okay.
But then they start eating the mushrooms and they all turn into mushroom people.
Awesome. It's awesome. Like people who are into eating mushrooms or like human mushrooms? Hybrids?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Both.
I like that.
That sounds gross.
Hybrids. It's like zombie. They all start growing weird.
Yeah, like Annihilation Flowers.
It's like The Last of Us, but from 1952 or something.
I need to see that.
It's good. It's like a legit good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a good movie. Good shirt.
Good premise. Good
I love green. Green's a great color. Is that
my favorite color?
Green's my favorite color.
Yeah, they say geniuses pick green.
Okay. Abby's quoting Meet the Parents.
Yeah. It's a good movie.
Abigail, how are you?
Well, I came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, but I'm all out of bubblegum.
Oh.
I finally saw They Live. And I've recovered from COVID and I've recovered from Comic-Con. And I'm back to work and not Comic-Con.
That was months ago.
I'm still recovering from Comic-Con. I will never get over it. I recovered from Dragon Con. I had a lot of fun and we'll talk about that. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited about the oncoming fall. I love the change of the season. I can feel it also. Like in the morning, it's cooler and there's a breeze and I can sit out on my porch and enjoy life. I can't wait to decorate too.
Not that I want to get into this and upset part of our audience or our friends group, but you're both coffee drinkers. You both love coffee, and most people love coffee. Mm-hmm. This whole pumpkin spice thing, like, do people really? Is it really that good, or is it just something people are into it because
it's like a vibe,
Yeah,
I like the idea of pumpkin spice.
Yeah,
but I think mainly, and I'll buy some pumpkin spice things, but
sure.
I think like as far as like fall flavors, I think apple is better. Apple cider, that kind of, I'd rather have something like that.
Apple cinnamon.
Yeah.
But pumpkin spice excites me because it means fall time. And I love pumpkins, you know what I mean? So yeah, I like the smell.
It means that something is going to be watched and PJ Souls will probably be in it.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
That's true.
Okay. Abby, do you have any pumpkin spice hot takes?
Thoughts? I support those who like to pumpkin spice. I personally find the flavor a little cloying and a little too sweet for my palate. So like Jacob, I enjoy apple cinnamon stuff. In contrast to a lot of pumpkin, but like I love pumpkins and I love the fact that Halloween's coming. Yeah.
All right. So we did it.
We've covered pumpkin spice. That was YHS on pumpkin spice. By
the way, we're all pretty opinionated. A lot of middle of the road opinion on pumpkin. Take it or leave it.
It's fine.
It's fine. I was trying to think if I have like any fall traditions. Like, no, I don't go to pumpkin patches. I'd like to. I just can't find one.
There's so many close to you. I was looking them up last year.
Yeah.
I was like, because, that's around when Jess was here last year. I was oh man, this will be really cool. And I'm looking them all up and it's like, oh, cool. They're all around Atlanta. There's like some really, really nice ones. Do you guys know where Callaway Gardens is?
Yeah, I've been there.
I was like, oh, am I driving 4 hours to Callaway Gardens to go to this giant Halloween thing they do every year? It's like an hour from you. It's also...
I love the idea of that.
Close.
I love the idea of a haunted...
Let's go to... I'm sorry. I'm looking at pumpkin patches. There's something called Sleepy Hollow Farm. Looks awesome.
I like the idea.
We could go to one on Halloween. I'm going to be up there.
Yeah.
What about haunted hay rides? Those are fun.
Yeah,
they used to do one in my neighborhood, but it was just
they smell good.
Yeah.
This guy would like put a bunch of hay in the back of his pickup truck and just drive kids around the neighborhood. Not exactly a haunted hay ride. And I know.
Dude.
Not exactly.
You go ahead. Finish. Go ahead.
Well, we've talked about it in the past, but like church themed or Halloween themed events.
I was going to say, the hay rides that I grew up with would take you through the tribulation trail.
Yeah.
Yes. And let you know about all the sins.
It doesn't even have to be a haunted thing. You could fill a pickup truck or the back of a tractor up with a bunch of hay and just drive me through Hapeville and it will be fun.
Dude, let's do that. The YHS Hapeville Hayride Tour.
Not that we live in Hapeville, not giving away our location.
We have nobody knows that.
No, we've talked about that. No, here's the deal. I would do that too. I don't want to go to a church themed horror event just because I think they missed the whole point.
All church events are horror events.
Yes, the body and the blood. Quoting our favorite Exorcist film.
Yes. Well, I'm excited. I don't know. I'm thinking as I get into, I'm now 40 years old. I would like to indulge in some fall traditions, and I just don't have any. Other than I do really like Halloween, and I like.
It's literally the thing that I look forward to every year. Is more than anything, I want to be hanging out with my friends in October when it's cold, doing Halloween type things, and that's why I was excited that this year Halloween is like pretty close to the weekend, and we have some Thursday. We have some plans for the weekend of. So I was like, I'm gonna drive up to Atlanta after work Wednesday. So actual on Halloween, we can do something. Do something cool.
Well, it's gonna be great. We're gonna find something to do.
Yeah.
And then that weekend, the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra is doing Ghostbusters.
Right.
Which is amazing.
All right. There's another thing that I've been stressed out about a little bit, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. Is the weekend before Halloween the Comic-Con weekend?
The 20th?
Or is there a week between?
Let me look it up.
I think there's a week between.
There's a week between.
Okay, so, all right. Horror Nights.
Yep.
Week of then Comic-Con, and then nothing, and then Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stressed out about Comic-Con.
What are you stressed out about? Hold on. I forgot we were podcasting.
No, I think this is good for a podcast.
No, it is, but we should give context. We're talking about New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty stressed out about it too.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to try to make it happen.
Well, that's what's stressful about it is I had kind of marked it off as like not being possible for me,
Right.
which is fine, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a conversation with you, Craig, yesterday,
Yeah.
in which you heavily implied you two are going to probably go.
We're going to try to go. Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, now that is what stresses me out, because like if none of us go, it's like, who cares? We're going to miss it and it's going to be fine. But if two of us go and I'm at home thinking about like, cool, it's middle of October and my best friends are in fucking New York, and now I have to try to go.
Listen, we're not going to do anything cool. We're not going to like.
Nope. Stop.
We're not going to go to Sleepy Hollow.
Shut up. I know
real podcast drama.
I know that that's true.
Mm-hmm.
But the act of being in New York in October where it's nice and cool, you're going to get a nice dinner. That's cool enough for me.
Well, I didn't want to fuck
nice
you up
enough.
too bad. Have you seen the guest list for New York Comic Con?
No, I haven't even looked at it.
Ooh.
Well, is it good? It's
Hold
usually
on.
not
We got
great.
a Flanagan and Flanagan's wife,
Yeah.
Mike Flanagan.
They're doing a House of Usher, Mike Flanagan, Katie Siegel, Raul Coley, and so basically the whole cast of Midnight Mass.
Okay.
Walton Goggins. He's not in that, but he should have been.
I was like, did he play the vampire?
He played the vampire. How funny would
he
it
keeps having nose?
imagine if there's this extra episode of Midnight Mass where the priest has to go to battle with Baby Billy, who comes in to try to be the new priest. No, here's the deal. We're
AA meeting.
we're gonna try to make it to Comic-Con. Hey, we'll talk off air about that. We'll probably talk again. After this podcast, we'll probably
Do you think we'll have another conversation?
I think we'll probably
three of us?
talk.
Yeah, I want to, because I have an idea for a fun Halloween episode.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. But yeah, we'll figure it out. And I guess for context, we should talk about the reason that, well, I guess we can't give away all the reasons we want to go to New York Comic Con, but there's probably going to be something cool happening that's maybe Ghostbusters toy related.
Yeah.
And
I predict there's going to be a cool Ghostbusters thing.
Well, also, hey, Mondo has a panel too.
True.
Yep.
End of that story.
Well, we just like those guys.
Yeah.
Mondo.
Have you ever heard of Attack Peter? He's great.
Whoa.
I've heard of him. He's a nice guy.
You've heard of him.
Abby?
We were talking this morning. Me and Peter were having a long conversation this morning about Star Wars YouTubers.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to read that.
I'd love to get in on that. Yeah, well, we'll figure it out. What we're saying is October is a very fun month, and we're super excited to be able to dig into some stuff. Now, we are going to be talking about two movie franchises today that I think both fall in the web of October fun. Do they not?
Oh, of course.
Oh, the October Fun Web? Yes.
Hey,
You know that web.
the October Fun Web.
Yeah, we all
Hey,
do.
before we do that,
Yeah.
can I tell a story?
I would love that.
It's not related to anything on the show. And Craig, you've heard this story, but I don't think Abby has.
Okay.
It's a true story that happened to me last week.
Okay.
And I just think would be funny for everybody to hear it.
All
All
right.
right. Well, do you want me to give you the spotlight here while I try to figure out how to plug in my computer, which is dying? Yeah, go for it. Tell a story.
You forgot to plug your computer up.
Just don't even worry about it. Hey, man, don't even worry about it, man.
Yeah, okay. All right. Craig, you do that, and I'm going to set up Jacob. Jacob, will you tell me a story?
A very adult themed story.
Okay.
Warning. This is an adult story.
Send your kids out of the room.
Or don't. Who cares? I don't give a
Whatever.
fuck.
Yeah, we're all
Kids
humans.
are dumb.
Kids are dumb.
That's a rude thing to say, Abby.
Oh, you said it. I'm not repeating you because I'm a fucking mimic.
No, you have echolalia.
Yeah, I do have echolalia. I got all the fun things.
All right, Jacob, what's your story?
Last week I went to I go like on walks often, and I've been going to this place in Valdosta called Grand Bay.
Yeah.
It is maybe 10 miles from me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this, there's like a big boardwalk over the swamp. And
I've seen it in your stories.
Yeah, it's like a nice little place. Now, the boardwalk's been closed for a while due to flooding, but whenever you get to Grand Bay, you could take a left or a right. The boardwalk is if you go left, that's closed, or you can go right, and there are just like miles of trails through the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been just going over there. And to get into Grand Bay, there is this long dirt road. It's like one lane, swamp on one side of it, the woods on the other side of it. I gotta drive really slow because my car is small and it's like, it's like that, and it's like a couple miles long.
Okay.
So I went walking last week. I don't know. This was after we got back from Dragon Con. So between now and then. And I go kind of in the afternoon, and this was the latest I'd ever been. And when I left, it was like maybe 7:30, something like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm on the road, the long road back, and I see a vehicle peeking out of the woods, like completely off of the road, kind of peeking out. And I'm like, what is that car doing there? Yeah. And it's like, I'm getting up to it. It's really slow. And I'm like, they have completely pulled into the woods. Mm-hmm. And then as I get closer,
just setting the mood, Craig.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was an accident. Keep going.
As I get closer, I realize there's two cars parked. So my first thought is like, is there like a drug deal happening?
Are they fucking? Yeah.
What is happening? Mm-hmm. Thanks for ruining the story. They were fucking. They were fucking 100%. I get right up beside them. So like I'm going really slow, and I get right beside the car, and in between the two cars are just two people fucking.
What style?
Yeah.
He was behind her. She was bent over.
Valdosta style.
Was it like a
and
hatchback?
me and the guy made eye contact. Like it was. I'm going really slow, and I'm just like.
So is he.
And he's like just going at it, and he like looks over at me, and I was just like, whoa.
Dude, what if you would have given him the thumbs up and he gave you the thumbs up back? Freeze frame. Ring. Okay.
That sounds like a hayride I would like to take.
Well, I assume
what I mean? Like you're on a tour.
Oh, right. Yeah. Like a hayride where you just go around and watch other people fuck. You're like, they're doing okay, but these guys are better.
It's a swamp ride.
To me, it made me think one of them must be cheating. You don't drive out into the middle of the woods to fuck unless
there's passion, there's desire, there's like, taboo. You're not supposed to.
Yeah.
I totally agree. First off, great story. Second of all, I'm sorry I ruined it. I do that because I mean,
there's only so many.
The logical conclusion.
It was actually
has cars.
Hold on. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Nobody's fucking acknowledged the word I've said. I keep interjecting with fun quips. And
maybe they're not as fun as you think.
Not as fun.
So what I'm saying is,
respect for you when your computer was dying.
There's only a couple things it could have been.
Yeah.
My bet was that they were finding clues in the latest Dan Brown Da Vinci Code type novel
in the swamps of Valdosta.
Nah, dude, you're either doing research for a project, like you're, I don't know, scientist.
So okay,
you're camping.
By the way, Jacob, I remember you telling me that story, but I could, as you were telling it again, I was like, wait a minute, I know I heard this, and then it dawned on me. I was like, oh, I know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Cool.
So how far off the beaten path was this? How many miles?
It's only a few miles. It's the whole road's maybe less than 2 miles long, or maybe it's about 2 miles long. But it's also the road to get out there is like it's close. I mean, I live right in the middle of town. It's only like 10 miles away from me, but there's not a lot of people out there. So
it feels like a very. I don't want to get into any, lewd details of life, but like when you're a teenager and you've got a girlfriend.
They were not teenagers though.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
You know, when you're like, hey, we're hanging out on Friday night.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
gotta-
Wherever. Back
we
in
gotta
Mustang.
drive somewhere into the
Gotta go
woods.
somewhere.
I
Go to the
remember-
movie theater.
I remember at like 17 or 18, half my time on a date was like just trying to find somewhere to drive to far away.
Yeah. My secret was a picnic blanket. I was like, this solves that problem. See, this is why I'm into the swamp
What
thing.
problem?
Also, wait. Of not having a place that's secluded. Jacob, you should have.
Still
The only
confused.
thing I want to add is that you should have played them Swamp Thing while it was happening.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Swamp thing.
I wonder is this like a daily occurrence? If I go out there every day at 7:30, will I run into these people again, or
Yeah.
was that
Yeah,
a one-time
sure.
thing? Clearly, it couldn't have been a one-time thing. They're doing this often, probably,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have
A
been Randall
tryst
Flagg.
in the swamps of Valdosta. I like it.
That's so fun. You should
Yeah,
tell Joe Bob about that story.
I'm glad you told. Yeah, you should. Hey, you should write him a
Joe
letter.
Bob doesn't care.
Yeah,
I
he
think he
does.
would- he
He
would
loves
like it.
swamps. Yeah, he's into all that stuff. That'd be cool.
That's really cool. That's
Yeah.
a great story. Thank you for sharing.
Great story.
We
Thank
should
you.
we should share more stories like that. Like
Mhm.
fun things that we see in the world.
Yeah.
Now, I got one.
I think that's the point of having a podcast.
Oh,
isn't
that's
it?
what we've been doing.
Sharing stories. We should share more stories.
All right, cool. Well, that was good. Well, let's get into it. So, two movies that we've seen, the last two movies that we've seen that we have not covered at all on the podcast. Obviously, Beetlejuice just came out over the weekend. It is doing very well at the box office. #1 movie in the world by a wide margin.
Mhm.
And Alien Romulus we'll also talk about, but maybe we will start with Beetlejuice first. I know, Jacob, I was trying to think when we did our most anticipated movies of the year list, I can't remember the controversy. I can't. Did you leave Beetlejuice off your list
I think
so. Because you were nervous about it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
All right.
You had it as #1, right?
Yeah.
And I had
Both of those things sound stupid.
Twisters as #1.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I had Maxine.
Okay. All right.
Oh fuck, Maxine was recently. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
All right. So
There's some movies I think I liked more than Maxine, being honest.
Beetlejuice. Domestic box office $111 million, 36 international for a total one weekend take of $147 million. Obviously, this is the return of Beetlejuice. Michael Keaton is back in the main role there. Tim Burton back as director. We've talked a lot on this podcast over the years about the Tim Burton's his second half of his career has not been nearly what that first half was. I mean, if you go and look at his IMDb for the first
Well, you didn't like Alice in Wonderland?
I come on, man. I don't know anybody's even seen that. But if you look at, I just wanted to real quick. I pulled up Tim Burton's.
This is his producer. Yeah, you got a director.
All right. So this is Tim Burton's IMDb. Okay.
Yeah.
He did some like weird, short films and stuff, TV movies and stuff. But it really all starts with the first short of Frankenweenie, and his first actual feature is 1985 Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Follows that up with Beetlejuice, Batman, Edward Scissorhands, Batman Returns, Ed Wood, Mars Attacks, Sleepy Hollow.
I mean, if you stop right there,
Yeah.
that is a insane filmography.
Yeah, Mars Attacks was huge for me. That was like
Those are all everything you just said. That's like Quentin Tarantino's filmography.
It is.
They're all great.
Follows up Sleepy Hollow with Planet of the Apes.
Oh.
But hey, by the way, I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the podcast much, but Ed Wood, haven't seen it in a long time, but that is a fantastic.
Yeah.
Great.
That is
I
an
remember-
awesome movie. But yeah, just kind of analyzing those first 7 or 8 movies. I mean, I can make arguments that Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, and Batman are 3 of my top 10 or 15 movies of all time.
Yeah.
So Tim Burton's been around for a long time, but Jacob, were you worried about this return to Beetlejuice, just like in general?
Yeah, 100%. Like there was more worry than anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, me too. I think we've seen enough legacy sequels, good and bad, to know. I think one of the hardest things to do is to just revisit something from the past that is a product of its time, bring it into the modern day with the same actors, and for most, the vibe I get from a lot of these actors is like, hey, just because we've been living and watching whatever, Dumb and Dumber or Ghostbusters or whatever movie it is for every day of our life, that doesn't mean that the actors are living in those characters. And I think it's really hard to reprise a role like that. But I think Michael Keaton did it in a way that is maybe better than anybody ever has. Is that a take? Yeah.
I think between him and Winona Ryder, like, their return to form for me was just like they fell right into it.
And Catherine O'Hara
too, because I feel like those characters are just like so, not that they're close to their personalities, but they're so fun for them. Like, and it's so fun to watch. Like the personality traits, like of Lydia Dietz, just kind of being an outcast and kind of angry, and like she still plays that in this movie. And then Beetlejuice is, it seems like it's just like him at its core. It's like Keaton raw or something. So I think he did a really good job just getting back into the makeup. But yeah, I don't know if we're giving opinions about the whole movie, but
yeah, well, I think we should. But I will say one thing that I loved is Michael Keaton in an interview this week said that he rewatched the original before filming. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
You're right. Like, I think that's good. But yeah, let's start roundtabling it. Overall impressions. Jacob, what'd you think of Beetlejuice?
Overall, it's very fun. I think it's got a lot of big problems, but most of them are problems you can kind of gloss over and not focus too much on, overall, it's really fun, and I would pay to see it again. And Michael Keaton, like you said, Michael Keaton's great. I disagree with you, Abby, about Winona Ryder. I think.
Oh, really?
I think she has forgotten how to act in the last I love her to death.
Yeah, me too.
But it feels like she kind of disappeared for a while, and she was going through some troubles, and I think she got arrested for like shoplifting or something.
I like her.
When she came back, it's like she forgot how to act during all that. And I like that she's been in a lot of stuff lately and that she's popular, but I just do not think she knows how to play the Lydia again.
Well, I think,
but anyway, it's still fun. It was still all really fun. There's a lot of like really crazy gags in it, and practical effects and stop motion and like gross stuff, and it was enjoyable.
Okay, Abby, any other overall thoughts before we get into this?
Yeah, I mean, it may have been because of my low expectations going into this that I was delighted. But yeah, I mean, I guess I will go out and say I'm a Jenna Ortega fan. I do like her. I'm not going to say she's like the absolute best at portraying emotion, but she's just adorable and relatable. So I really liked her addition. I thought that her and Winona Ryder played well off of each other. And then having Moira in there was like a really nice, like, not Moira. Moira? Isn't that her name on?
That's her Schitt's Creek character.
That's her Schitt's Creek. Oh. I'm really sorry.
Delia.
Catherine O'Hara. So yeah, I really liked having 3 generations of women and that kind of a thing. Like, I thought that was cool.
Hey, now, if I'm dumb, I'm dumb. Okay, don't judge me too hard. I don't think I realized that Lydia was her stepdaughter ever. Do they make that very evident in the first movie?
Yep.
Did they say that's my stepmom? Yep. Is there a line where she goes, "That's my stepmom"?
Times.
Really?
Yeah. She looked straight into the camera and goes, "Here's my stepmom."
Oh, yeah. That right at the very beginning. Just kidding. Strike that from the record. So
no, it's pretty clear in the first. I mean, it's pretty clear.
So this is what I wanted to get into here. So I think both Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder had really tall tasks because they're reprising iconic characters.
I think it's harder for her than Michael Keaton because Michael Keaton is playing a character who's insane and doesn't change over and doesn't change ever. But she has to play a human being who's started as a teenager and is now like an adult. That's harder to do.
I
agree.
think.
Convincingly, like, has experienced the things that she has.
Yeah. And it leads me to, so we're going to get into major spoilers here, but it leads me to, I actually think that as the movie goes on, Winona Ryder's character, like Lydia, gets better throughout the movie as the story kind of develops. But to me, my number one nitpick critique of the movie is that, by the way, I should say I overall enjoyed it, and I think I liked it more than I was expecting. Just because I was not super taken aback with majority of the trailers. I felt like I was like, oh, this is just going to be greatest hits. Look, Beetlejuice is doing the thing and saying Showtime and wearing the black and white. But it really was way more than that. I actually thought the world building and the lore they built into the, expanding the afterlife part of it was some of the best stuff in the movie. I thought the plot was a little convoluted. Did you laugh at that?
Yeah.
Listen, I thought that you've got the ex-wife plot, and then you've got the Willem Dafoe, like, ex-actor in the afterlife plot, which worked for me because I was laughing the whole time.
I thought he was really funny.
I thought he was really funny, but I don't know if it felt like there was too many like subplots. And then the entire, again, Justin Theroux, I laughed the whole time, but it felt more like a modern day Tim Burton character, like something in the post, like, I don't know, the second half of Tim Burton's career. Like, this guy's just like a zany over the top character that doesn't feel necessarily as grounded as, like, Otho or something in the first.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
No. I'm talking about within the context of Beetlejuice. Because he just is like, he doesn't act like, it's a little too much. Like that. I think that's maybe subconsciously that's what you were feeling about Winona Ryder. Like, I don't believe Lydia Dietz would be falling for this obviously like predatory, like drug peddling TV producer guy. Like, it doesn't feel like she had such a fall from grace. That
I don't think she at any point like is falling for him though in the movie. She's really hesitant, and I think it's just like
she agrees to marry him. So
yeah, I know, but I guess I liked her, and I thought I liked Justin Theroux's character. He reminded me of like Gaston from.
I liked him too. I thought he was.
Yeah,
funny.
I thought he was funny.
Willem Dafoe, I love him. He's great, and I've never seen a Willem Dafoe performance and said I don't like this. Mm-hmm. But the poor guy, that plot could have completely been erased from this movie, and it would have made zero bearing on anything that happens in the movie. And if that is the case, then it shouldn't be in your movie, because then it's just taking up time where you could be fleshing something else out. And I kind of feel the same way. And I hate to say it, but I kind of feel the same way for Dolores. She's cool, and her scenes are like, it's all cool stuff. And I like the way she turns Danny DeVito into like a little puddle, like a little skin puddle.
That's cute.
But that plot does almost nothing. You know what I mean? Like, all it is a reason for us to cut back to Beetlejuice a couple times and have him talk about it. But she's in it so sparingly that you forget about it, and then she just shows up in the end, and the end's great, and all of it works in the end. But it's like, if you would have taken that out and taken Willem Dafoe out, then the really convoluted plot of Astrid and Astrid's dad and Astrid's weird ghost boyfriend, that could all that could all be explained a little bit better, or you could spend a little more time with that if you cut some of this other crap that you don't need out.
I see your point.
That's my biggest problem with the movie is it gets to a point where you're like trying to follow 6 different things that don't really matter. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Monica Bellucci plays Dolores, Beetlejuice's ex. Kind of a throwaway line from the first movie, comes back to be kind of a major plot point in the second movie.
Major.
Well, this is Tim Burton's current real life girlfriend.
Hey, that's another thing. Tim Burton just has to put his girlfriend in every movie, whether it makes sense, whether there's a role fit. Like, he forced her into this film because he needed to put his girlfriend in the movie.
Yeah.
That's a little like,
hey, I found her to be pretty.
If it's at the detriment of your art, then because she's hot, but.
Yeah. So for me, watching her become assembled from all the different parts and like put herself together, I loved that scene.
Well, I thought
I did too.
My favorite scene of the movie.
I was just like, this is a fucking awesome bitch. Like, she's really, I don't know. I loved her.
The Italian horror homage of her and Beetlejuice's courtship before Beetlejuice was dead.
That's her best scene in the movie.
That's my favorite stuff in the movie.
Jacob, I was so bummed that you said that you saw that before the movie came out. I had no idea because
they posted it as an official clip, and I watched it, and I was like, "Why the fuck would they post this?"
Yeah,
like the full thing.
Yeah,
no cuts, the full clip.
Right, because that worked for me big time within the context of the movie. And I can't sing Michael Keaton's praises enough. I thought he was just outstanding every time he's on screen. Like, it's that thing where you're like, you don't want too much Beetlejuice, but also every time he's on screen, the movie gets 10 times better. So it's kind of, you want to find that balance.
That is a problem, though, isn't it? Because, like, the first Beetlejuice, it's not a problem. The movie's just as good when Beetlejuice is not on screen as he is when he is. So if that's what you're thinking, that just inherently is an issue.
Well, also the first movie, I mean, Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis. Yeah. I almost said Gwen Stacy.
Gwen Stacy. Okay.
Alec Baldwin and Spider-Man's fictional girlfriend. Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin are incredible in the first movie. They're like at the top of their game. They're funny, charming, both great looking. Like
both relatable. Like,
yeah, they're great.
Yeah,
which also annoys me about this one that they're not in it. And I think their excuse is kind of bullshit.
Well, let's address it. So they there's like a one throwaway line, Abby, where they said there's a loophole the Maitlands were able to leave, which it sounds like there are ways out, and that like they could have gone on the Soul Train, they could have went to the Great Beyond, whatever. But I think there's a way you could have maybe, if you're going to include, like if you're going to end your second Beetlejuice movie with the wedding of Lydia and Beetlejuice again, like you could get Alec Baldwin in there for a second.
I think there were too many characters in the movie as there is, so I wouldn't want them just thrown in on top of everything. But, if the plot was different, if you cut some of the fluff out of the movie, it's just weird to me. The first movie is about them. You know what I mean? It is about the Maitlands. It's so weird to just be like, both working actors who are still just as good as they've ever been. We'll not put them in it, but we'll put, fucking Charles Dietz pedophiles in the movie good bit. Not like for real, but he's there. His character's definitely a main major
his
plot
visage.
of the movie.
Yeah, he's in it.
Well, listen, I actually really liked.
Can I say pedophile in here?
He did.
Well, he was arrested and charged for that. So or something in those.
I just didn't know if like the Spotify channels bleeped it if you said pedophile.
No, dude. Do you know how many fucking crazy podcasts are out there? Spotify deleted us. Problematic actor Jeffrey Jones still represented quite well in this movie.
A lot.
Yeah.
He did pretty good.
He gets an adorable animation scene. Like,
hey, in all honesty, I loved how I loved the way they treated, like, of course they're not going to put him in it. And I wouldn't want them to, I wouldn't want him to be there, but I think the way they did it was very clever. And I thought it was very funny that the top of his body's just gone and he's still walking around talking. I thought that was very funny.
Yeah.
It is a more interesting story. Like, because, when Jenna Ortega meets the boy who turns out to be the ghost who killed his family, like, man, that's a pretty interesting concept. Like, maybe that should have been the plot. Like,
I mean, yeah, that or just Charles and Delia both dying and like Lydia dealing with her parents being in the like that's one singular thing, not 7 weird plots at once. Like you could still have fun with that. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I see that point. I would have personally liked to have seen, because when the parents pass into the afterlife, that's very interesting to be like, oh, well, we watched a whole movie where they were on the other side. Now they're this side. That's interesting to me. But I really like Jenna Ortega's little like falling for the guy who turns out to be like a piece of shit, like murderer, soulless kind of dude. Like I thought that was interesting. I like watching her fall in love. And I liked her dress, and I thought all that was pretty fun.
She's a good actress.
But I think there's a lot of like almost fighting for screen time with all the plot lines that are trying to be tied together by the end.
I agree with that. I do want to highlight some stuff I really liked from this movie. Anything in the afterlife, just like the first movie, it just works for me. Like even something as silly as Beetlejuice, like being the like running a fucking I don't even know how to describe it, but having all the Bobs working for him, like like it's a newspaper that he's running. It's just funny. And then like all of the weird characters and like the creature design, it just kind of opens up my my imagination in a way that a lot of modern movies just don't. And I think it's really hard to recapture that. Like because that's the cool. What I love about the original Beetlejuice, as somebody who is deeply, deeply aware in an unhealthy way of my own mortality, who thinks about our short stop on Earth more than I probably should. As a kid, when I would watch Beetlejuice and I would see like that portrayal of the afterlife and being like, oh, this place looks wild. Like, what if this was real and there was like these zombie football players here and like there's a waiting room and Beetlejuice is there. Like that is much like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I just tapped into this place in my imagination, which made me really fall. Like Beetlejuice is, I mean, it's not Ghostbusters level for me, but it is one of my all-time like favorite rewatchable movies from my childhood. Even more so than like, way more than Gremlins, way more than like even Star Wars as a kid. Like I was watching Beetlejuice all the time. It's been 36 years. Iconic movie, iconic character. It's really hard to recapture any of that magic. So the fact that I sat there and watched the movie and was smiling and laughing and cheering and genuinely having a good time, that's where I go, hey, it's not perfect, a little bloated. Sounds like they were trying to make this movie for so long. Maybe different pieces of different scripts made it into the final product.
100%, because there's stuff in it that is in the Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian script.
Should we do a live script? That script is online. Should we do a script reading of that as like a Patreon episode?
Yeah, at some point,
that'd be fun.
I just wanted to tap on or piggyback off of what you were saying about the portrayal of the afterlife. Because that's my favorite part of the first Beetlejuice. It seems very believable that there's a lot of rigmarole and red tape, and like the afterlife is run by formerly like alive people. It's just people, so it's going to be like the government and take forever and be annoying and confusing. I thought that stuff was really fun, like a really funny parody on like just humanity. And then I loved like the musicality, and I loved the fun zaniness of the afterlife. And like you, Craig, I like having a gentle, like believable and funny idea of what happens after you pass away. Like, so I enjoyed spending time there.
If the Bee Gees are playing and everyone's dancing or what, like that's just sign me up. That is fun.
Yeah.
Abby, I wanted to tap one more thing. So, Jenna Ortega, I've been kind of indifferent on her. I know she's rising superstar. She's like Gen Z icon. She, in a lot of ways, she kind of mimics like what Winona Ryder was to like a certain generation of people.
Yeah.
Like, in the Beetlejuice, Heather's.
She's not like other girls. She's different. Yeah.
But I did think she was pretty good in this movie. And obviously, like, Wednesday was such a massive hit, and the Scream movies and X, like she's carved out this thing for her. Do you think she's like, she here to stay? Is she gonna be like future Oscar winner? Like, is she the one?
I mean, who am I to predict that? I think.
Tell me. I need to know.
Weird.
Yeah,
what a
I know.
weird.
What a weird question. Is that a question?
That's a question.
That question you just asked, Abby, sounds like you fucking wrote that for a red carpet. Like,
yeah.
Do you think she's here to stay? Well,
I want to know if my wife thinks
be like,
Jenna will win an Oscar.
I don't know if she's winning any Oscars, but she's very much embraced by the public and by the people who like upvote things and like things of the Gen Z.
All right, fuck it.
Kids.
You don't have to even answer my insane question.
Good. Yeah, no, I don't. I think she's awesome. I think she's like mesmerizing and spellbinding when she's on screen. I think she taps into that. Like, I really am not like other girls. I kind of like almost like you just feel like she's probably been through something and you kind of relate to her. And so, yeah, there's always going to be a space for that.
Will Bob win an Oscar?
I wish, because the Bob stuff is my favorite as somebody who grew up like fascinated by like the idea of work and business and like what do people do in the office, like to just like tip tapping and like answering phones and like I loved that shit so much. I was dying laughing.
I felt so bad for the Beetlejuice disguised Bob.
Oh yeah, he got so fucked.
What else? We waited for this movie for 36 years. There's got to be some more hot takes in there.
I thought that, no, this isn't a hot take. I loved the final musical number. MacArthur Park, Cake in the Rain. Like, I just, that stuff, like, to see like music bringing emotion and people together in like a different, like, that's something that really gets me excited to see it all coming together. It came together really well.
All joking aside, I thought Catherine O'Hara was really great. I'm trying to remember the exact moment, but there's a scene where somebody explains something to her like really long-winded, and she just goes, "What?" Yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah, I know. That's like her. It seems like,
and she's been so good for so long. Like she's just awesome. I laughed so hard. Okay, so we're going to talk about Alien 2, but I think it's kind of a different type of Alien's in a different spot as a franchise than like something like Beetlejuice. Where do we think Beetlejuice stacks up in the context of other legacy sequels? You know, Ghostbusters Afterlife and Frozen Empire, Twisters came out this year. Bunch of Terminator movies, Dumb and Dumber 2 we always bring up because Jake and I are always trying to figure out if we like it or not.
Legacy sequels are really hard, and I don't think that there's a ton. There's like a line, and everything under the line is bad.
Right.
And I think there's more under the line than there are above the line.
Yeah.
And there are some like Ghostbusters Afterlife, I think, is well above that is one that, I haven't seen Top Gun Maverick, but from what everybody says, it's one of the above the line.
Yep. Yeah.
Movies. I think Alien Romulus is above the line.
Yeah.
I think Beetlejuice is above the line. I would put it, to me, it's really interesting that this movie came out so close to Frozen Empire. Just because like, it's weird that it's 2024. These movies come out, a year apart from each other or whatever. And, they feel very similar to me. I don't think either one is like perfect, like, give it all the awards, but they're both very, very fun. Mm-hmm. And like the nitpicks that I have with both of them, I can overlook because of how much fun the movie is.
Right.
And, it's just weird that it's like 2024 and we got a really good Ghostbusters movie. We got a really good Aliens movie. We got a really good Beetlejuice movie.
Yeah.
And we got a really awful Twisters movie. So,
well, also, I mean, Abby brought this movie up earlier. The Exorcist Believer is one of the worst legacy sequels.
100%.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And I agree with Jacob about this really being above the line and being one of the ones that like didn't sink to the bottom, but was floating above. It was like enjoyable and memorable. Not better than the original, but like and there's enough things that happened on screen that were like extremely hilarious or like really mind bending or something that I would just really like to revisit. And wanting to revisit a sequel or whatever we're talking about, the legacy sequel, it just doesn't always happen. It's not original content, but this had some good original stuff in it.
Hey, I'll say this right now. I enjoyed watching Twisters when I watched it. The odds of me ever watching it again are not great.
I think you should watch it again. Now, no. I think this is not a negative thing, and this is not me talking shit, but I think sometimes you in particular, Craig, both of you, but Craig in particular, you have a little bit of a habit of just seeing a movie and just liking it because I don't know why. I don't know if it's because you're like seeing it for the first time and you're just happy you're seeing a movie, but you tend to see movies and be like, that was great. And then it's like, calm down, dude.
No.
And then think about it and then kind of
listen,
you change.
I have been
walk out of Suicide Squad, not the Suicide Squad. And we were both like, hey, they made a movie. They made it. And
time out. Hold on. I've got 4 or 5 on my track record that I will gladly go back and say,
sure.
Hey, 2017 Craig, shut the fuck up. You're being dumb.
Well, we all
it happens. Listen,
all do that sometimes.
Part of the fabric of our podcast is being able to look deep within and go, was it good? Yeah. I will say this. My biggest whiffs ever were probably that first Suicide Squad where I was just like, I think that he'll never let me. The only reason I even bring it up and incriminate myself is because he'll never let me live it down is when I messaged Ryan Dole and I was like, better than Civil War.
That's what I remember. God damn it.
So
discrediting
stupid.
Yourself.
It's just so dumb. But I think my biggest all-time
that is a swing.
My biggest all-time is I do believe that I said Rise of Skywalker was one of my favorite Star Wars movies I'd ever seen. And that was just caught up in the just wanting it to be so great. And, J.J. Abrams was a savior and all that stuff. So, but, Beetlejuice was fun. Are you ready?
Hey, you know what? One of the funniest things in Beetlejuice to me is not just the fact that Charles is killed by a shark.
Yeah.
But his headstone is a shark fin.
Yeah.
That is so funny to me. I laughed so hard when I put that together. It's like his fucking headstone is a shark fin.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we cannot.
Like that is such a Tim Burton.
That is a Tim Burton thing. Mm-hmm. You guys mentioned it. I knew they were going to bring back the sandworm, but you know what? It was cool because it felt like the sandworm from 1988.
Hey, but why retcon that they're on? What's the point of retconning that they're now not on Saturn? They're on Saturn's moon. What's the point of that?
I don't know. I don't know.
You caught that though, right?
Yeah, I did. Where they're
in the first movie, they're on Saturn.
Yeah,
because Beetlejuice says, "Hey, you've been to Saturn. I've been to Saturn.
You've been to Saturn. I've been to Saturn."
But then in this movie, they're like, "Hey, that's Saturn. That means we're on Saturn's moon." And I'm like, what kind of weird line of dialogue is that? What's the point of that?
Were they trying to correct something that didn't make sense?
Scientifically, yeah. Maybe.
I doubt that.
Oh wait. Maybe.
Well, if you saw Saturn, the planet from the original one, then you wouldn't be on Saturn. You'd have to be on.
But I don't know if you. I never have noticed that. That's possible, but I've never.
I don't. Saturn doesn't have a solid surface. It's a gas planet.
Okay.
As if we're gonna get into
you can't bring science into this.
So sandworms. Trip.
You
Like a
can't bring
destination gas station.
It also doesn't have sandworms, Craig. So
Yeah. There's no.
You can't bring science. I just thought that was a weird little like retcon
so
that I don't get it.
As a gas giant. All right. Congratulations. Hey, here's a take. I think Michael Keaton should get nominated for Best Actor. He was so good. He was great.
Beetlejuice?
Yeah. Fuck yeah. He's great.
I mean, that's about how much the Oscars mean.
No, they're
just do it. Give it to him.
He was subtle. He was nuanced. He didn't just go like full on Beetlejuice the whole time. He did the thing where he just morphs into Michael Keaton at one point and just uses his regular voice, which is some of my favorite stuff that happens in the first movie. Specifically when they ask him what his credentials are and he's like, sure. Yeah. You know, that whole thing.
Yeah. When he starts opening up about his ex-wife to Lydia.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
All right, cool. So Beetlejuice, go see it. I recommend. Will there be a third one? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, probably. There's a Beetlejuice baby out there, and there's Jenna Ortega.
Thanks, NECA. Thanks.
Thank you, NECA.
We'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay, Alien Romulus. You know, we talked about this movie a lot coming out of Comic-Con. I think we were all very hyped and excited after that Comic-Con panel. The Alien franchise is complex over the years, right? There are people who say there are one or two great Alien movies and the rest is not good. There are people who say the second one's better than the first one. There's even like this resurgence of people who claim the third one is really great. And then early on in our podcast, I think one of our early stresses, Jake, weren't you?
Prometheus.
Yeah, it was Prometheus,
right? Mm-hmm. Which is a movie I haven't watched in a long time. But let's talk about Alien Romulus, the Fede Alvarez legacy sequel, prequel, takes place in between the first two movies. Abigail, I'll give you the floor first. What'd you think? It's been a couple weeks.
I'd give it 2 face huggers up, hugging the face and any other part too. I loved it. This movie I thought was more badass and bodacious than Maxine, which was the one that I was looking forward to as being my big violent, slick, shiny, awesome movie. Not to like detract from Maxine, still it was decent. But this movie was like fucking terrifying and in the spirit of the original Alien with really good acting and really fun surprises and just really like I can say for a fact since seeing it, I've had reoccurring themes in my nightmares where I'm like trapped on some like a station that's like I'm stuck there alone. Like there's like that loneliness or like isolation thing that's stuck in my head because that's terrifying. So I loved it. I think Fede Alvarez is fantastic and has the balls to direct a really good Alien movie. And he did. I thought the cast performed really well. And the only critique I have is like at moments there were like a few moments that were like, look, we're doing Alien. Like you could kind of feel it a little bit. And that's kind of lame, but
not too bad though, but a couple.
Not too bad. And when you compare it to the other follow-ups, the other sequels, like it just blows them out of the water, in my opinion, when it comes to like terror factor, costume, set design, character design, creature design, and all that stuff.
Very cool. Good summation there. Jacob.
Hey, I'm trying to figure this picture you have up. Does she have 4 arms in this photo?
Is this even a real picture?
It can't be because look, are those not her hands around the face hugger? Like she's trying to pull it off, but like, she also has her hands on him
doing that.
Oh wait, those are his hands.
I don't think they are. Look.
Why would he hold himself like that?
If those are his hands, he's doing this.
Yeah, that's how you
grab them.
That's how you grab things.
Somebody call AI.
She's got 4 hands in that picture.
I'll get the actual poster up. Did you like Alien Romulus?
Oh, yeah. I rewatched the entire franchise other than the AVP movies before I went and saw this. just to have everything like, I revisit Alien quite often, but that's usually the only one I revisit is the first Alien. This movie's great, I think. See, those are her hands.
Yeah, that first one was something else.
Listen, I'm just trying to do internet
somebody's
over
class
here.
project.
Everything Abby said. I have some nitpicks in this movie too, but it's the same way I feel about some of these other movies. It's like there's always something to nitpick, but I thought it was really good, and honestly, might be a hot take. I think it might be the second best Alien movie. Mm-hmm. I think this is better than Aliens. And I know that that's crazy to say. Mm-hmm. And it's, Ripley, like not having Ripley is like one of those things that I know can be hard for people. Cause like Ripley's great. Even in the Alien movies that aren't good, like Alien 3, Ripley is still awesome in it. Yeah. So it's like, I've seen people complain like, hey, the movie's good, but who cares about this cast? Who are these people? They all die. They're all just like, there's no Ripley in it. But I'm like, that's something you have to let go of because there's not going to be a Ripley anymore. Ripley is Ripley. We're moving past that. So I thought this movie was really good. I thought it was really weird and scary. And it was kind of like Alien's best hits. It literally had like, let's take this from Prometheus. Let's take this from Resurrection, this from Alien, and this from Aliens. And then they made a really good movie out of it. And I had a lot of fun with it. And I've actually been wanting to go see it again. I haven't been able to, but this is a good movie theater movie.
Yeah. It is. It's big. It's fun. I am not a diehard Alien franchise fan. I do really love the first one. In theory, I like the second one, but I haven't watched it in 20 years. But I've watched the first Alien many times. I did think one thing that really stood out to me. So this was originally going to be like a straight to streaming movie. Does not feel like that at all. Sometimes those movies kind of have like a lower budget, really kind of that overly slick like digital feel. Didn't feel that. This movie set design was great. The mood was great. Very violent, very gory. Cast was good. Like a totally unknown cast. Kaylee Spaney as the lead. And then David Johnson, who was the android. Mm-hmm. Really good. Really good. Has maybe the worst line in the movie. What?
Yeah.
I thought it was an Oscar-worthy performance. It was
awesome.
Really
good. It's hard to play.
We're just giving those Oscars out tonight.
Hell yeah, we decided they don't mean shit.
Jen Ortega and the android. They couldn't help themselves with some of the callbacks and the get away from her.
I hated the get away from her, you bitch. I hated that. That, like, if I could take anything out of this movie, it just would have been that. Yeah. One line of dialogue was really...
Doesn't add anything.
It was bad. Yeah.
And it's not... Listen, I know they say who you're going to call in Afterlife. That's not that.
Well, another thing that I saw people complaining about, I listened to another podcast where they were talking about this movie, and they were like, the worst part about having Andy say, get away from her, you bitch, is that is something Ripley says in Aliens. So having Andy say it in Alien Romulus, which takes place before Aliens, they're like, he's taking that away from Ripley. You know what I mean? He can't be the first person to say it. That's not
a Terminator
movie.
Do
that
before the first Terminator. Were like some other guys like, I'll be back. Like what?
Yeah. It felt forced and took you out, at least for me. But I'm sure that line is there for all the people who are like fake Alien fans who are like sitting next to some young person that they're trying to explain things. Like, there's a line from the first movie, and they're not even right.
It's there because the studio was like, you got to put the
do it.
Callback.
The movie's doing really well too, and I have a feeling more of our audience has seen Beetlejuice versus Alien. I feel like more people maybe were waiting on this one. I would definitely. I don't want to spoil it. Third act definitely takes some swings. Let's get into it. Spoiler warning. We're about to spoil the third act. Okay, now we can do it. I was not as high on the alien mutant monster just kind of took me out of it a little bit. I know I'm in
the skinny man faced alien.
Why did it take you? What took you out of it?
To me,
because it's not like a new concept for these movies.
No, but I do think the expanded lore that they go through in Prometheus and then Alien Covenant. You know what it is, Jacob? Let me bring it back to you, because I feel like I'll be able to explain this in a way that you can relate to. It's almost like I kind of wish there was another movie once that acknowledged something from one of the other installments where it was just like, oh, I just wish we just could play it more straightforward. Like, I just didn't, the whole like Prometheus story of discovering the perfect organism and the whatever it is. It's not my thing. Alien to me is at its best when it's one alien and really scary going after people in the crew. And I'm not as big of a monster creature fanatic. Although the design of it was really cool and it was freaky. I just prefer an alien. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, me too. But we've only had that once. There's literally only one Alien movie that just has one alien in it, and it's Alien. Right. And I thought this movie was going back to that as well. And for half of it, it's just one alien. But then there's a bunch, and it's because they wanted to do the aliens stuff.
Right.
I just think like. You can't just. I mean, they could have done it with just the alien, and it would have been a perfectly fine movie. But also, it's weird if you have a franchise and there's a bunch of movies and you've established a lore. You can't just ignore they have to talk about Prometheus because that Prometheus is not that old. You know what I mean? And I thought the creature at the end, even though it's definitely, it's from the black goo and it kind of looks like an engineer, I thought that was more of a throwback to Alien Resurrection than Prometheus.
Okay.
The Prometheus throwback is earlier in the movie whenever they literally play the Prometheus theme.
Right.
And Rook is like, literally says the word Prometheus. Mm-hmm. And he's talking about the goo. But I mean, that's like a human giving birth to a weird alien baby. That's Alien Resurrection. That's what happened at the end of that movie. And it felt like a big callback to that to me. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was really scary. I thought it was really creepy looking and really weird and off-putting. Mm-hmm. And the scene that happened a little early. So the scene in the movie where she shoots all the aliens like it's a fucking video game, and there's the blood is all zero gravity. Mm-hmm. To me, when I saw that, it was getting me bummed out because that's what I don't like about aliens. Is it's like if you can just shoot the aliens and kill them, they're not scary.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's like a video game.
Yeah, type. And that's what pulls aliens down for me. And I thought that was going to be the climax of this movie. I was like, oh, they're going to end it by her just shooting all the aliens. Fuck this movie. So then when it moved on and it was like, oh, wait, no, there's something else happening. And it was like really dark and scary. And all those aliens are gone. And it's her against this 7-8 foot monstrosity. I was like, this is fucking awesome. I was like, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Thought that shit was really cool. That's it. There was a power loader at Dragon Con. That was pretty cool.
There was a power loader. I think the other big thing, the digital use of Ian Holm as Rook, which was an android, basically same model as Ash. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool. Pretty well done, all things considering. I do think these movies rely on that little trick. It's almost like they know they can probably get away with it, so they can't help but but do it.
I was very surprised. That they did that, but I ended up really liking it. I didn't think it looked super great, but it was one of those things where I was like, okay, this was almost direct to Hulu. Of course, it's not going to look like Egon in Afterlife.
I was about to wait. What movie?
And I didn't think it looked so bad that it took me out of it too much. I liked what I was seeing, so I was like, oh, this is cool and this makes sense.
Yeah. I didn't predict it. I know, Craig, that when you were watching it, you're like, I knew exactly who that was, but I didn't.
Well, yeah.
It was a fun reveal for me.
It was cool. I think going back to the Prometheus discussion, it reminds me a little bit of like when we talk about Mandalorian and stuff, where because the Mandalorian takes place in between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy, and like you see the story trying to fill in gaps that connect like the prequels to the middle to the sequels. It's really tricky because the established story is the established story, right? So Alien came out in 1979. The second one was 1987. It's been 35 years, and now it's like, but here's another story that takes place in between those two, and it fills things out. I think it's hard to do. I think this movie did a pretty good job overall.
Well, if you want more entries in the series, you have to be able to deal with that, because it's either that or nothing. It's like it's either you say this movie's hundreds of years after, right, or you just have to deal with the fact that maybe something else happened that we didn't know about.
Can I ask you guys another question, and then we can wrap this up, because this has been on my mind a lot lately. So obviously our entire podcast and our collecting habits and our pop culture fandom is all rooted in the love of all of this IP, right? Ghostbusters, Star Wars, Jaws, Back to the Future, etc., Alien. What is the future of original ideas on film?
It's going to be a whole episode if we're going to
great.
Well, that's what I mean.
It's not good.
It's not good, right? Because if you look at the top 20 grossing movies of the last decade, it's all existing IP sequels.
I honestly think it's a herald of the end of mankind. You know what I mean? It's like it is a microcosm of like that we've reached a point where we're just becoming stagnant and uncreative. I'm not saying everybody's uncreative. There's still people out there making, there are still original ideas, but it's like we've all hit a wall. You know what I mean? And all the good stuff is kind of slowing down. It's becoming like more of the same thing. And it just, it's a slice of what the entire world's like. And then maybe that's not good for us. Maybe that means it's time to start over. I don't know.
Well, tell new stories or tell them in a new way. Yeah.
Well, I've just been thinking about it a lot because even the biggest, even Dune it's based on an existing piece of material.
Yeah, there's two other copies. There's two other versions of the fucking movie out there.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You got to wait for authors and for writers to write really good stories. And sometimes
but I think there are Game of Thrones, I think, is an example of great modern IP, like an original idea. Obviously it was a book and they made into a show, but that was something that came within our more recent lifetime, right?
Yes.
Avatar.
But there's no like this generation's E.T. or any of those movies. It's just
that's what I'm thinking. It's like there's got to be another Back to the Future or Ghostbusters out there, but who's the studio who's going to finance it and make it? Right. And will people go see it? It does bum me out. Listen, I want sequels and remakes and I want all of this forever because I'm going to be there day one for every Star Wars movie that ever comes out for the rest of my life. No worries. But I do think about think about our childhood and the amount of classics we were exposed to. And listen, our parents' generation probably were like, or our parents' generation said that their shit was better. But there's original movies and original stories throughout the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Sometime around like the early 2000s, it just feels like it halted. And we're like stuck in this kind of stagnant thing. And it does bum me out because like I want to be able to go see something new. Like that's why I think something like X or an original horror movie.
To me.
Yeah, that's why when you see something new that hasn't been done before, even if it's inspired by other stuff, all stuff is inspired by something. It feels special. Like, this was an original idea from somebody's head that is now a thing.
But it's like what you're saying is, I want to go see a movie that's a brand new original thing that 30 years from now is still a huge deal, and that is not happening anymore.
No, it's not. And I kind of half-heartedly brought up Avatar earlier, but like whether or not we like those movies, that is one of the only original IPs that is making noise. And by the way, I still don't know one person who saw the second Avatar, even though it's supposedly one of the highest grossing movies of all time.
I know one person who says they saw it. And that they enjoyed it too.
Whoa, both? Damn.
Yeah.
So anyways, just something I've been thinking about. But dude, it's not even just IP. Even like, dude, we got Home Alone when we were kids.
Yeah.
Like there's not a movie that's going to come out and kids and adults agree this is an instant classic. Like that just isn't happening.
Rarely, but think about, God, never mind. I was about to say, think about Stranger Things, which is like,
that's a good example of
loved it, but it's also an amalgam of everything.
But it would not exist without
it.
Yeah,
but it's a celebration of it. But if you look at it, like when it comes to songs, melodies, music, stories, like we can only tell certain structured type of stories. Like it's a matter of like having somebody with perspective come in and have a vision for it. And I say I just like the whole movie making. I'm not going to down it because, when there's franchises that want to make their 8th or 9th movie, they might pick a director who's up and coming and then they get more experience and notoriety and then they can make something that's
a good point,
really original to them.
I'm just saying.
That's my positive spin on Hollywood.
And I love this show and I'm not putting it down, but when I'm getting excited about season 6 of Cobra Kai in 2024, I'm just like, okay, we might be at the end of our road. That Karate Kid is still going strong 30 years later with the same fucking guys. Oh, guys. Well, this was fun, man. We covered some ground. We had some good story time. Abigail, any final thoughts?
Love movies. I love looking forward to movies. I'm excited about Wicked. I'm excited about Saturday Night. So yeah, it's going to be a good fall season. I really enjoyed getting out and seeing Beetlejuice. I had not been feeling well for like the days prior. So I was in a good mood and I enjoy seeing a movie that makes me laugh. Laughing's the most important thing. It's the most healing thing you can do. So
there you go.
Yeah. Keep on making movies, y'all. We'll just keep criticizing them and then we'll like some of them.
Hey, I tried to, speaking of legacy sequels, I tried to watch The Matrix Resurrections yesterday. Not great.
Yeah.
No, still not great. Jacob, any final thoughts?
You said you were feeling sick and chaotic, and I was like, that movie's not going to make me feel less chaotic.
No, I don't have much more to say other than what Abby said. Both movies we talked about are worth seeing in a theater, and you should go see them.
Mm-hmm. All right, there you have it. All right, everybody. Well,
and fuck Twisters.
I was going to say, fuck Twisters
in
a field.
If you feel
that dumb movie. No, like
watch the original.
I mean, just after seeing Alien Romulus and Beetlejuice, Twisters can go fuck off. Like that movie's bullshit. It like puts it in perspective. I can't. Don't get me. Let's end the show.
For Abigail Gardner, Jacob Walsh, my name is Craig Goldberg. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, those bell notifications, so you will know anytime we have a new piece of content up. We also have the Patreon, patreon.com/yeshavesome for all of your bonus audio content and exclusive access to the YHS Discord. I'm done. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
I'm done. It's
Good night.
over. Bye.
Good night, y'all. He's like my
Do I? Yes, have some. Have some.